finally made it to the 5A non-select playoff bracket. Once again, games I didn't really feel like explaining much, I already have filled in. I'll explain this one a little. Even though they're the lower seed, I mean, the speed and size they have on their team just, I think, really helps them to outmatch this Southside team that can score a lot of points but struggles on defense sometimes. And with that said, I think East Ascension wins in a relatively low scoring game. Moving on. This is one that I think is close, but Benton started out good. They kind of struggled in the middle of the season, but have picked up their stride again. And I think they win this one. Hanville's kind of been inconsistent, and I think that rocks them out of the playoffs in round one. Arid and East Jeff, they played each other a few weeks ago. Arid won by 30. I think they win this one relatively easily as well. Washita and Sulphur. Someone said to look out for this as an upset pick. I don't see it, but I could see it being close. However, I still see Washita winning. Central and Denham Springs. Now, they already played in Central, won pretty easily, but whenever you have a quarterback as good as Denham Springs has and Reese Moody, I think it's Mooney, one or the other, you have a chance in any game you play, especially in a playoff setting. That said, I'm still picking Central to win the game. And lastly, Parkway has had their best season in a while. Alexandria has been kind of stumbling down the stretch, but they made it to the championship game last season. They got a lot of speed on the field this year, and I don't think Parkway has what it takes to exploit Alexandria. Now, this is going to be an interesting game. 5A is probably going to be the bracket that takes me the longest because from this point out, there's not many games where I see them being quick picks. Now, I'm going to pick Zachary to move on. Just be aware, though, East Ascension matches up well with Zachary. They have the speed and size all over the field to give them fits, if not outright beat them. This one, Chalmette's had a good year, their best team in a while, but I think West Monroe comes down there and beats them. Ruston, I think, doesn't have much trouble at all with Benton. I'm coming back to this one. This might be the toughest pick yet. I'm very serious about that. Ponchatoula, this is a lot easier. Hold up. Oh my God. Now, if this could just behave. Ponchatoula just has one of the more complete teams in 5A. Arid, if you can take away their run game, you kind of have game, set, match. Moving on. Washita and Central Baton Rouge. This is where I think the upset happens because Washita, they've been a little up and down. Central, after a questionable week one, kind of, righted the ship and beat everyone they were supposed to. But I think Washita comes out with the win and continues their best season in forever. Acadiana and St. Amant. Acadiana, they started out slow and then they got things rolling as the season went on. St. Amant is also getting better as the season goes on, but Acadiana's style of just running the ball right at you on offense probably isn't the best matchup for St. Amant's defense. I'm trying to think, have they really seen that in a while? The closest thing they've seen to that is Catholic of Baton Rouge, but that's a different kind of deal. Finally, this game. This game. Now, Captain Shreve as a 2 seed is probably a little overseeded. And that's not to take anything away from them. It's just some of the other teams that I see in 5A that they're ranked ahead of, you kind of raise an eyebrow at, but, the way, they played their schedule the way they have, and that's gotten them to this point. Alexandria, again, team that's been kind of up and down, especially second half of the season. That said, I'm picking Alexandria to move along because Captain Shreve, now they have a player in Kendrick Law that is just special. If you can limit him, they do have some other guys, but if you can limit Kendrick Law, you can kind of limit Captain Shreve, and with the talent Alexandria has, that'll probably be enough. This game, Destrehan has about, from what I've heard, about as complete a team as you will find in 5A outside of Catholic Baton Rouge. And who do they happen to run into but the Woodlawn team that upset Catholic Baton Rouge in district play? Now, both of these teams have really good quarterback play. Destrehan's QB is a little younger, but you'll be hearing a lot about him over the next couple years. Woodlawn, of course, has I think his name's Ricky Collins, who's committed to Purdue. They have one of the top corners in the state. They have some really good receivers, a running back to complement the passing game, and they've been getting really hot at the right time. Like, if they were playing Ruston, I'd pick them. They were playing West Monroe, I'd pick them. And West Monroe beat them 27-0 earlier in the season, but that was whenever they weren't focused and were going through some turmoil. That seems to have resolved itself. I'd pick them to beat Zachary at this point. But would I pick them to beat Destrehan? A lot of the year, I've thought of Destrehan or Ponchatoula as the state champ in 5A. But I'm taking Woodlawn to win this game. The way they've been playing the last few weeks, it makes it really tough to try to pick against them. And now our semifinals are set. Quarterfinals, excuse me. Zachary and West Monroe. Now, Zachary has already ventured into territory where, they run into games where they might be in a little trouble. The thing about Zachary is they have, a quarterback in Eli Holstein that's really good. Some just amazing playmakers at the running back and wide receiver spots. But their offense is a little susceptible if you can get pressure in the backfield. And their defense, while really good at times, has been scored on in some games. That being said, I don't think West Monroe is quite the team to pull that off. Now, I just said Woodlawn against Ruston. I'm taking Woodlawn, and I'm sticking to what I said. Because here's the thing. Ruston, after a close week 1 loss, they'd just been rolling and rolling and rolling. Washita played them to 1 point, but for the most part, they'd been rolling. And then they ran into this West Monroe team. Now, of course, looking back, I don't think either of these teams really challenged them. Woodlawn challenges them, and I think Woodlawn comes out on top. Coming down to the bottom of the bracket, Ponchatoula has a really good staple of talent on that roster, led by, I think his name is Jacoby, either Matthews or Mathis. he he's an athlete recruit that's being recruited by all sorts of SEC schools, and he's not the only really good uh, guy on. He's not he's not the only really good athlete on this team. Like the the closest game in district was a 17-0 win where they probably just ran the ball a lot because the other team they knew wasn't going to be able to score on them. Now here is a rematch of last year's state championship game, but where Alexandria's run has already been pretty special as a 15 seed, I think it comes to an end here. Acadiana, again, they've just been hitting their stride as the season's gone along, and they've had these kinds of years before. And this is another one of those Acadiana teams that gets it going just at the right time. Next, Zachary and Woodlawn. At this point, Ricky Collins' run is known as one of the best playoff runs that 5A has seen in recent memory, even compared to Hanville whenever the running back Puka Williams took them all the way to the Dome. And I think Ricky Collins takes Woodlawn all the way to the Dome too. I could be wrong about this, but he is just on a different, special kind of tear right now. I mean, for goodness sake, Catholic of Baton Rouge was nationally ranked when Woodlawn took them down. And the name of their head coach is blanking on me, but oh yeah, Marcus Randall, I think it is. I mean, that's a good coach right there. He knows how to coach up the talent on the teams he ends up on. So yeah, with that said, Ricky Collins outduels Eli Holstein to go to the Superdome. Ponchatoula, Acadiana. A contrast to styles. These teams have met up in the playoffs before. And at this point, Acadiana's veer offense is rolling. Ponchatoula is also rolling. It's almost an unstoppable force meets an immovable object. Well, I guess it would be unstoppable force, immovable object. Who comes out on top? And I think Acadiana wins this one barely. It's a lower scoring game, and that ends up playing into Acadiana's hands. Now we get to the state championship game. Woodlawn, Ricky Collins has just been on an unbelievable tear. Acadiana, the Veer machine, is rolling in full force. Who you got? For me, I'm taking this all the way. Ricky Collins and the run that he's got Woodlawn going on brings the trophy back to Baton Rouge, and Woodlawn wins state in one of the best, most improbable runs that 5A has ever seen. And just to take a little bit of an extended look at it, I mean, 5A is as wide open as it's ever been. I mean, there's branches where, this could throw the bracket off, any of these could, this could, I mean, even if an upset that I don't expect to happen happens, that could throw things off a bit. You know, if Captain Shreve gets their act together and is a little better than I expected, that could throw things off. But yeah, that's my picks for the 5A non-select bracket.